We only have 27 online. Uh-oh. Good afternoon. The January 13th, 2025 meeting of the Faculty Senate will come to order. The minutes of the December 2nd Faculty Senate meeting were attached to today's agenda for approval. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing no corrections, the minutes are approved. Next up is my report. First thing, Happy New Year. I am happy to welcome everyone, faculty, staff, and students back on campus to begin the spring semester. I am looking forward to a productive semester and continued progress in our efforts to improve the institution through shared governance. The new year always means a new legislative session here in West Virginia. There have been a lot of changes to include a new governor and many new members of the legislative bodies. The Faculty Senate leadership met today with the University Government Relations team to discuss the upcoming legislative session and in particular the concerns raised at the last Faculty Senate meeting. We discussed the many ways in which faculty and the governmental relations team can work together to achieve positive outcomes for the university. I want to reassure faculty that there is a plan and that we are ready to work with the government relations team. The legislative session often moves much quicker than a Faculty Senate meeting schedule. Faculty are encouraged to closely monitor their emails for information from the government relations throughout the session. These are usually come out at least weekly as under the domes, and I encourage you to look for those and to read those. In addition, Faculty Senate will communicate with faculty and members of this body via email throughout the session as well as necessary. If you have questions or concerns during the legislative session, we highly encourage you to reach out to Travis Mollahan, VP of Governmental Relations, or Eloise Elliott, our representative to the AFC, or just send an email to the Faculty Senate office. We will make sure someone gets back to you. We are still looking for faculty to serve on the University Promotion and Tenure Committee. Specifically, we are in need of faculty from the WVU main campus, either Evansdale or downtown, Potomac State, and WVU Tech. If you're interested in providing this vital review service to your colleagues, please reach out to Christopher Staples in the Office of the Provost. Finally, the Faculty Senate leadership continues to communicate and work with the Presidential Selection Committee to ensure as much faculty participation as possible now that the finalists have been identified. More information on this will be forthcoming as plans are finalized. That concludes my report. Are there any questions today? Okay, great. Moving on. The consent agenda allows for quick approval of non-controversial or standard business items. Any member of the Faculty Senate can request removal of any item on the consent agenda. Does anyone desire for an item to be removed from the agenda and returned to its regular place in the agenda for discussion? Seeing no requests, we will vote to approve the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda include a report from the Committee on Committees with committee appointments and reports from the Curriculum Committee for programs for approval, in the College of Applied Human Sciences, a new program, Secondary Mathematics Education, and a new program, Secondary Science Education. In the Chambers College, new programs in AI and HR, I'm assuming that's artificial intelligence and HR, global HR, people and culture, human resource management. There's also a program change in Chambers for human resources management. From Eberly, we have a program change in data science. There's also attached Annex 2 and Annex 3, the new course report and the course change report. All of those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand online. Okay. You can lower your hands online. All those opposed, please say nay or raise your hand online. All right, thank you. The consent agenda is approved. Next on our agenda is a report from the Student Recruitment and Retention Committee Chairperson, Miriam Leary. Miriam?
Thank you, Diana. The Recruitment and Retention Committee for Faculty Senate is relatively new, and I think this might be the first time we've done a report out, so I want to let you know what we've been working on. We are focusing on developing training materials for faculty advisors. So we have started with a survey that is set to go out hopefully next week to any faculty advisor to get better understanding of what resources they're using and how they can be better supported. So if you're a faculty advisor and you see that survey, please take it and please encourage your constituents to as well. The idea here is that it will help us determine additional resources that need to be developed and how we can use tools and best practices to support advisors. We're also working on following up on an 8-week timeline for the 8-week courses, looking at how that impacts students and advisors and registration, particularly for the second half of term. So we have a subcommittee working on reviewing that timeline. We're working with Sarah McCorkle from the TLC and developing a 1-page resource for teaching and learning best practices so that we can help promote retention in the classroom. We're working with Steve Hahn to develop a toolkit related to how faculty can help with recruitment efforts. So kind of seeing how we can contribute to recruitment on campus and where we might be better off sending them to professional recruiters. We're also working to solicit feedback from recruiters across campus to see how faculty can be helpful in the recruiting process. Students that are leaving the university complete a withdrawal survey, and some of those questions ask about if they're leaving because of class or faculty or teaching or learning. And so we reviewed that survey to see if there was anything substantial there on why students are leaving and if that could be related to something faculty could address in their classroom. And the findings there were negative, that faculty and teaching were not the primary reason students are leaving our university. So that's what we've been working on so far, and I'm happy to take a question.
Any questions for Miriam? Thank you, Miriam.
Oh, there's a question.
Oh, there is. Can you come up to the mic, please?
Kevin Mylans, Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. Just a quick question. Was there any indication as to what might be the primary reason for leaving?
So I specifically, when I looked at this survey, was looking just at the faculty role, because that's kind of the charge of our Faculty Senate Recruitment and Retention Committee. My understanding is that from that survey, other units on campus are taking that information and using it. So and I know Evan Witters can speak to this more closely, but what I've heard is that it is some mental health related stuff that might not be specific to university, but that the challenge of college can exacerbate mental health. So we have some students leaving for mental health. Some are leaving because of financial issues on campus. And then I want to say there's a third. Evan, do you? I don't know it off the top of my head.
Thanks, Miriam. Evan Witters, Provost Office. So the survey we give to students who request a transcript indicating they're leaving WVU and ask them the reason for that usually breaks down. It's roughly The most is mental health, probably around 40%. Some mental health or fit related issue with WVU. Then probably 30% is academic and 30% is financial, but it's rarely that clean. All these issues are sort of tangled together. If you're doing poorly academically, it decreases your aid, which decreases your financial fitness and stresses you out and contributes to mental health issues. So it's not clean, but that's basically the breakdown we see, and it's been pretty consistent year over year.
Thanks, Evan.
Any other questions for Miriam? Great, thank you. I want to thank Miriam and the members of her committee for their very robust efforts to address this very important topic. It is a new committee, only recently became a standing committee, and they've done a lot of work in a semester. Now, a report from the Curriculum Committee Chairperson, Darko.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, this was a particularly busy period for the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee. We have reviewed 112 course proposals and 8 program proposals. Out of the 112 course proposals, we had 75 course change proposals and 37 new course proposals. We have completed our work on all of those, with the exception of a few where we are still working with the initiator on necessary changes and modifications. That's that much from me this time.
Great, thanks, Darko. Any questions? All right, great, thank you. Next up is our next report is from Cody Hood, Chairperson of the General Education Foundations Committee, also known as JEFCO. Cody, are you online?
Yes, Cody Hood here with Eberly. So the Jeff committee doesn't have anything new to report this time, but we will notice that there has been a bit of a ramp up in new Jeff courses as the temporary pause had been lifted last semester. So we anticipate the receiving of some additional applications. So if you or your department feel interested in having a course that is not currently a Jeff course that you think would be appropriate and you are interested in applying and have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Any questions for Cody? Great, thanks, Cody. Now a report from Sherry Chisholm, Chairperson of the Teaching Assessment Committee, or TACO.
Hi, everybody. So we just wanted to update you with what we've done and where we're going. So during the fall 2024 semester, the SPOT survey was available for all faculty to administer to their courses. Suggested strategies attained from student focus groups were shared with faculty to increase student SPOT participation rates. A survey was deployed to elicit additional survey questions and suggestions. Those that were submitted were evaluated and added as appropriate. The committee also identified a chair-elect, Ashley Sowards, for the upcoming 2025-2026 academic year. A small subcommittee met on December 30th to discuss the redaction of student comments from course evaluation for those faculty who requested it. TACO does realize the law school is on a different timeline of when their surveys were available to their faculty. So a Qualtrics survey will be deployed to the law school faculty wishing to have negative comments redacted, and that survey should go out by the end of this week. The committee does have tentative meeting dates planned for February, March, and April this semester. Those dates will be published here shortly. We just wanted to make sure there weren't going to be any other conflicts with any of the other Senate committees. Work is going to continue to determine best practices and suggestions for the improvement of student participation rates using the SPOT survey. And the committee will continue to look for ways to collaborate with TLC to deliver relevant faculty development activities. So that concludes my report.
Any questions for Sherry? Megan?
Hi, Megan Lake, College of Creative Arts and Media. So Sherry, I didn't remember or see an email about suggested new questions. When did that come out? Do you know?
That came out, I believe, in November. I'd have to go back and double check the exact dates, but it went to the the chairs of the various departments to elicit for those questions.
Okay, so that didn't come to the full faculty senate.
It did not, no.
Okay.
But
So
we will redo that again. During the spring semester as well.
okay. I think the biggest question I would ask is whether or not that open-ended question can be added back in where faculty have the option to actually ask a question to students.
Okay, where the faculty can draft their own open-ended question. Okay,
That's the one that I specifically want, so if
okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Sherry? Great. Sherry, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next committee report is from the Committee on Committees, Chairperson Ilkin Bizhevsky.
Good afternoon. We have no report. Thank you.
Any questions for Ilkin? Great, thank you. All right, now a report from Leslie Cottrell, the faculty representative to the Board of Governors.
Right there, it can.
He went quick on you, didn't you? You had to run.
Sorry. Leslie Cottrell, School of Medicine. BOG met December 19th and 20th, so between executive and our full Senate. So we did meet in an executive session. No decisions were made during that session. We came out of that. So some updates. Diane's already mentioned the presidential search. I would only add that seems to be on the same timeline. So we're looking at February, seeing some candidates and getting close to that. But maybe our representatives would want to add more, but that seems to be on the same timeline. Just wanted to highlight some examples that you can see on the consent agenda. One that caught my eye was the modernization, the IT update. So we're going into the phase 2 of that, and that lists what's included in phase 2, which is exciting. And that was pretty much it. It was a short meeting prior to the holidays.
Thank you. Any questions for Leslie?
Brian Powell, Statler College. Was just wondering if either one of the faculty search representatives could comment, or if you could, do we have any insight as to how many applicants there were for the presidential search and how many people are currently under consideration?
I can't answer that. I know that I can say that the Faculty Senate has requested that. And so I believe those discussions are coming in terms of.
Yeah, that is part of the information that we're requesting from the Presidential Search Committee. And like I said, hopefully I have a meeting with a member of that committee tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have more information to follow. Thank you. Any other questions for Leslie? Thank you, Leslie. All right, next, we are pleased to welcome Steve Hahn, Vice President of Enrollment Management, to present to us on the university's recruitment and enrollment efforts. I want to note prior to his presentation that he will not have time to take questions today after his presentation. So we are asking that if you have any questions, you can let me know via email, or you can see me after the meeting and I will jot them down, and then I will forward them to him and we will get those answers back to the Faculty Senate body. All right, Vice President Hahn. Okay.
Can you all see that okay? I know it's a little washed out from the light outside. It's a pleasure to be here today. I am Steve Hahn. I'm the interim VP for enrollment management at WVU. And I'm here to talk about enrollment, more specifically for the time of year that we're in. I want to talk about where we are with applications and admissions. And then I want to talk some about a new financial aid program that we are rolling out and are very proud to do so for the first time in front of this audience right now, in front of the Senate. So again, thank you for having me. I'll explain, this might be a little washed out on the screen, and I'll explain it. Admissions at WVU is rolling admissions. We will take applications and admits right up until the start of a particular semester. That said, the time that we're in right now, after the holidays, is the first, kind of important clue as to where the class is going to land. And let me describe what you're looking at here. In the middle, the chart in the middle or on the leftmost chart there, you see a trend line for this year, and the labels are cut off there. I'll describe those to you. The trend lines for applications for this year and the previous 3 years. This year is at the top. It's the darker line at the top. And we have been ahead of last year and ahead of all 3 years before that for almost the entire length of our application season. We've been up, we've gone up and down a little bit, but we've been consistently in the teens in terms of percentage increase over applications last year. So right now, we are currently at 16.2% increase. That represents about 2,500 plus more applications for this time of year. We're not done yet, but at this time of year, we've got 2,551 more than we did last year. And so that's a good position to be in. I'll also note that we are up in graduate applications and professional applications. I should have mentioned what you're looking at is first-time freshmen. That position of 2,551 applications ahead for this time of year, it's allowed us to make similar growth in admits among this class. And so we are currently about 1,200 freshmen admits over where we are this time last year. And we are very much in the middle of application. Well, we're in the last third, I would say, of application season, but very much in the middle of admission season. So this has another month or two to play out yet. So we're very interested in watching where this will go. But the signs are encouraging for next year's class with respect to the last one. I'll also note that we are up in transfer admits at this point as well. So we are kind of in the last third now of application season. We are in the middle of admit season, and we're looking ahead to yield and to our yield season, which will be a thing of the spring. As many of you know, there are a variety of events that we do for yield. And I know you know that because many of you are involved in some of those. And as you know, when we can bring a student to campus, we can yield them. It's more probable than not that if they can get to campus, we can yield them. So we have more activities in that regard lined up for the spring. I also want to take this occasion to thank you, the faculty, personally, because you all have done and continue to do a fantastic job in assisting in the yield of our students. Miriam mentioned that we're working with Miriam's committee now in a toolkit for faculty around recruitment. I've worked at several different places. I've been the enrollment director at a Big Ten school, and I've worked several places since. And I can honestly say that at no place where I have worked before have I seen faculty so personally invested in the recruitment and especially yield of our students. And so I thank you and I congratulate you for that, and we'll need it. And I want to continue to draw upon that. When faculty meet with students, we've got over a 10% greater chance of yielding that student just for the conversation alone. So it's already good when they come to campus. It's even better when they get to meet with a faculty member. So thank you for that. That's a important part of our yield. Let me talk about another important part of our yield, and that is financial aid. Financial aid is interesting. It's not just the amount of aid that you are awarding or packaging, we say, the students with. It's the timing of it as well. There's nothing in yield that beats the 1-2 punch of an admissions followed up quickly by a package for financial aid. So we are working diligently in my unit to make sure that we can go out earlier with packages so that students don't need to look elsewhere. There's no guessing. Their course here is transparent and they know how to get here. That's a critical coordination between admissions and financial aid. Another thing that we're doing is launching, as of today, a new program for West Virginia residents called the WVU Guarantee. Again, in the interest of transparency for students and easing their barriers to come to school, but also primarily in the service to our land grant mission as WVU, we roll out the WVU guarantee effective today, or announced today and effective with the fall. The WVU guarantee is a new program that offers last dollar in funding to pay for tuition and university fees for qualifying West Virginia students whose family's adjusted gross income is $65K or less. This begins in fall of 2025. It is for undergraduate West Virginia students, incoming or continuing at Tech, Potomac State, and Morgantown. And so we will begin to package students this way we'll begin packaging students now this way for the fall. And so what students will get from this is we will complete their funding to make sure that they have coverage for tuition and university fees until they graduate. And so this is a commitment, this is a guarantee that we are making with the citizens of our state, especially those who need us the most. Now, what does a student need to do? The student needs to be an admitted, full-time, and actively enrolled undergraduate student pursuing a bachelor's degree or associate's at one of those 3 campuses I mentioned. They need to be a West Virginia resident, and they need to submit their free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, annually, and we will ask that they do that. The difference is now, we are not waiting for the government for the answer to that FAFSA, for the expected family contribution, it used to be called. We are making that commitment, but we need to at least get the student admitted or applied for the FAFSA, and that's an annual exercise, and so we'll ask students to continue to fill out the FAFSA. As I mentioned, we want them, or we will expect them to have a FAFSA reported federal AGI of 65K or less, and they will need to have remaining covered costs that are remaining applicable costs that are not already covered by their federal aid or by their scholarships. So what we are doing is guaranteeing that with whatever package they present that way, we will fund the rest to make sure that they've got a commitment, a guarantee from us as undergraduates. The one thing that I should mention here is that as recipients of federal aid, they will also need to make sure that they are maintaining satisfactory academic progress, which is exactly the same requirement that they have now. So we are rolling this out today, and here's a couple resources for information. For students and parents, as you'll see, or they will see on our website, they can contact the hub, that's our financial aid virtual hub, and they can not only answer questions about the program, but they can answer questions with respect to the students' and families' individual situations. So we encourage all students and families to contact the hub for more information about the effect that this will have on their packaging for the fall. As I mentioned a second ago, the financial aid website now has a fairly comprehensive set of FAQs that the public and our faculty and our campus can also refer to. We have also reached out directly to deans and to college recruiters and shared our FAQs with them and met with them to answer questions about the program and to kind of get them thinking about how the advantages of this program will meet the classes that they are bringing in the fall. So we're excited to work with them. And also my office as a resource. And so what I would ask of you is that if you have questions, and I know you do, please look at the FAQs first of all, because those are published and out there. But I would also, we want to approach all questions in a consistent and systematic way. And so what I would ask, as Diana mentioned earlier, is if you have questions, could you submit them please to Diana, and Diana will aggregate them and share them with me. And then I will get together with my team and we will provide the most informed answers all at one time. We'll just provide, and some of those answers will make it to our FAQs. I'm sure you'll come up with things that make it to the FAQs. And otherwise, even if we don't do that, we'll answer directly to the Faculty Senate, the questions that you ask. So in summary, I am excited where we are in the semester in terms of our admissions and our applications and our admissions. And I'm very proud and proud to be in front of you to do it, to announce this new program for WVU residents. So thank you all very much.
Great. So that was all very exciting, and I anticipate a ton of questions. So I'm going to ask you to avoid blowing up my personal professional email. So please forward your questions to the Faculty Senate office at mail.wvu.edu or see me after the meeting, but we will get a organized question response to every member of the Senate before our next meeting. So thank you very much. All right, our next presentation is from Sarah McCorkle, the new Administrative Director of the Teaching and Learning Center, formerly known as the Teaching and Learning Commons. She's going to present some information on the new center. You can come up here.
Thank you. I don't have any slides. So hi, I'm Sarah McCorkle. I'm from the new Teaching and Learning Center. And yeah, I can get a little closer. And I'm going to give you some updates here. So I've been in the process of opening 2 new locations for the Teaching and Learning Center. The primary location will be in the ground floor of Stewart Hall, and we'll have walk-in access directly from the Prospect Street entrance. I stopped there on Friday, and they're still doing some drywall, painting, moving furniture. So we're getting really close on that one. The second location will be in the ground floor of Evansdale Library. We're also doing some cleaning and some furniture moving in there as well. So these locations will be ready in time for our February events. And earlier today, we sent out a newsletter to the faculty and instructor listserv listing some events. I've noticed that several of you have already signed up for those. So that's fantastic. And in that newsletter, you'll also find a link to our website, tlc.wvu.edu. That outlines those locations, how you can access them, as well as our other offerings. So here are the updates. Right before break, we invited 2 candidates for their campus visits for our educational development finalists. So the educational development positions are 12-month FIAP positions with service, scholarship, and teaching expectations. And we hope to make an offer to one of those finalists in the coming weeks. The center also has an advisory group that consists of 10 instructors, 1 undergraduate student representative, and 1 graduate student representative. And so right before we left for break, the advisory group reviewed letters of interest for the provost fellow to serve as the faculty director of the center. And we have extended a offer for that fellowship appointment, and we're waiting to hear back. We'll have that announced in the coming weeks once that's approved. So yes, that's what I have for you. Any questions about those updates? Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, next up is our monthly report from Interim Provost Paul Kreider.
So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to your respective campuses. It's good to see so many students and faculty back in Morgantown and after a long break and some weird weather. I hope things are going to move forward a little bit warmer. Before we look ahead to the next semester, I want to be sure to mention a few highlights from the last month so that may have missed your radar. First, I want to congratulate Libraries Dean Karen Diaz on her successful 5-year review and reappointment. The review committee noted Dean Diaz's respectful, transparent, collaborative, and solution-oriented approach to leadership and communication. Also, congratulations to Associate Provost for Undergraduate Education, Evan Witters. Dr. Witters also completed a successful 5-year review and was reappointed. The committee made specific mention of his student-centered approach to leadership and referred to Dr. Witters as a champion of change. I'd like to recognize the Literacy Education Master's Degree Program, which earned national recognition status from the International Literacy Association. The ILA representatives will visit campus this semester to continue their evaluation for the ILA's National Recognition with Distinction Award, the highest honor for literacy education programs. WVU earned this recognition in the inaugural year of the award in 2019 and has maintained it through 2024. The program is under the direction of Program Coordinator Amy Morwood, Professor Allison Dagan, and Assistant Professor Courtney Shimmick. And other congratulations go to Beth Nardella, who is Associate Professor and Faculty Advisor for the Division of Exercise Physiology in the School of Medicine. Professor Nardella was recognized for her work in creating and promoting student learning experiences in an international context by the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators in December. She also serves as Division's Director of Global Education and Service Learning and was honored with the NASPA Student Mobility Programming Award as part of their annual International Education Knowledge Community Best Practices in Higher Education. You might have noticed that the recent announcement, but it's worth mentioning again, that the Office of Accessibility Services has been renamed. It is now the WVU Office of Student Accommodations. And this change better reflects its role on our campus. The office also has moved locations. It is now housed on the 5th floor of Hodges Hall. So there will be some other additional unit moves around campus, and we'll announce those as they happen. I'm sure today is a whirlwind day, but we encourage everyone on campus and it's good to have you back and kicking things off. It's a busy time of year for sure. But as a reminder, we are in the process of our 10-year accreditation cycle. The reaffirmation of the accreditation process consists of a self-study and an HL team visit to campus, and Dr. Slimak presented on this at the last meeting. But I want to give you an update. Once the self-study is complete, there will be an open comment period for the university community members to share any final feedback before the report is submitted to the HLC, or the Higher Learning Commission. During its university visit later this semester, the HLC team will hold meetings with the campus community for general feedback and to discuss specific topics related to the 5 criteria. We'll announce that schedule as soon as we have it, and I encourage you to participate as much as possible. And while I know we are just getting started with the spring semester, please keep in mind that it's the season for faculty awards. An Associate Provost for Faculty Development and Culture, Melissa Latimer, is hosting a virtual informational session on the awards application and nomination process this week. That date is Thursday, January 16, from 1 to 2 p.m. The session will cover best practices for putting together a package and for nominations. You will find the registration link in the recent email on the WVU calendar and in an e-news announcement that is scheduled for tomorrow. So that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Great, thank you.
Just as a note, normally we would receive a report from President Gee, but he is in Charleston for the gubernatorial inauguration activities today. Do we have any new business?